Okay, good afternoon and welcome to Maintaining Connection and Cohesion. Your presenters today are Karis Alston, sorry, said it wrong, and Kelly Bruce.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming to Maintaining Connection and Cohesion. We have a lot to go over. So first, we're going to introduce myself and Kelly a little bit. So next slide, please. We decided to put our alter egos on here for you. So mine is Wonder Woman. My name is Karis Alston. I'm the Organizational Change Strategy Manager here at ODOT for another day and a half. And then I'm actually headed to DAS for a rotation. And Kelly Bruce, I don't know if you want to come on and say something, Kelly. Her alter ego is Princess Leia. She's our Agency Performance and Strategy Manager.
Thank you. I don't think I need to add anything to that, but hello, everybody. Good to see you all here.
Awesome, thanks. Okay, next slide, please. So during today's session, we're going to learn how to stay connected in an increasingly remote world. We're going to hear what you guys have done from employees around the agency, what you guys have done to maintain connection and cohesion, especially during the time of like remote working and COVID. Oh, I said that totally wrong. Sorry. We have guest speakers who are going to share what they've done, and then you guys get to share your ideas and experiences. Just so you know, if you're expecting perfection during this session, you should hang up right now because you are not going to get it. So, okay, next slide, please. So, importance of maintaining connection and cohesion. One of the quotes that I really like about this is, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So that's an African proverb. And it just kind of enhances the importance of working together as a team. So we're going to be able to provide these slides for you guys, and I have references under the notes section so that you can see where I got this information. I did not just make it up. This is actually factual. So they found that cohesive teams work better together and produce better results. Team cohesion leads to improved employee satisfaction and motivation. Highly cohesive teams assume positive intent and good motives of their peers and coworkers. Increased enhanced team member communication between the teams that are like really good with that cohesion. And then cohesive teams are often more committed to goals and activities within the agency. So there's a lot of good reasons to try to maintain connection and cohesion. I think the next slide has more, Susie. So cohesive team members remain optimistic and suffer less social problems than those working in non-cohesive groups. They've done studies to show that members of cohesive teams experience lower levels of stress. They have lower rates of absenteeism, and they have lower rates of turnover, and they have more consistent individual productivity outcomes within the group. So these are just some of the many like benefits that come from having like connection, like that interpersonal connection and cohesion with your teammates. We go to the next slide for me. So not that one. So we're gonna hear from, we have 5 guest speakers today. Jessica Ronema is from our agency performance and strategy team. Pam Case is from our HR learning and development team. Catherine Beninati is from our communications team. Diane Childs from our delivery and operations management team, and Leanne Ferguson from public transportation. And we're gonna welcome each of them. We'll just stay on this slide, Susie, and we'll just go in order, and we're gonna hear some of the ways that they have found to maintain this connection and cohesion with their teammates over the last several months. So we'll just go ahead. Actually, Kelly, do you want to add anything? I feel like I'm talking really fast.
You are talking really fast, but that's okay. I think it might be helpful to maybe give a definition of what we mean by cohesion. There are other words that I think we use to describe that, like engagement, feeling like you're part of something bigger than yourself, that you're not alone. It's that that bonding, if you will. You might want to add, something to that.
Yeah, I think you did a really good job actually of explaining that. But when I think of cohesion, and for those of you who have been so fortunate to be in and on teams with me, I usually make all of our teammates do some cohesion activities. And for me, so my definition of cohesion is kind of what Kelly just said, right? It's that like interpersonal bonding. You feel connected to your employees. You feel that, you are supporting them. They are supporting you. You're in this together. Like you work as a team, and it's not just you're connected to the team, but because you feel connected to the team, then it's easier for you to feel connected to the agency and the goals and the priorities and what we're working toward. And so that's really what the cohesion is for me. And a lot of times the activities that we do is just to get to know each other on that personal level, right? So it's really easy when you don't know your coworker on a personal level to assume negative intent, to think that they're trying to hurt you with what they're saying, or to think that they're being super rude. And when you don't have that personal connection with someone, it's really easy to almost like dehumanize them. And so that's what we try to avoid with the act of cohesion and connectivity and connection, is like making each other human. And I don't know if any of you were able to attend the identity session earlier this morning, or if you're planning to attend it later, but Nakatris Perkins, our assistant director for social equity, talks about this Maya Angelou video called I Am Human. And the video is about like whatever another human being is capable of, while we might think that we're not capable of it, we are all human, which means we are all like, we have that capacity. And so just connecting to another person on that human level, and realizing and recognizing that maybe this person is going through something and this is why they're acting the way that they are, or, it could be any number of reasons why someone is acting or for a certain way that maybe you don't understand, or you think they're being rude or unkind or whatever, and just trying to meet them as a human being, right? Like we expect others to have empathy and compassion for us. And so we need to give that same empathy and compassion to others, right? So that was a very long-winded answer, but that is kind of what cohesion is about to me and for me. And so I've been on teams where we weren't cohesive, and it was really easy to assume that negative intent and think that, people were out to get each other, and that we were like holding on to things, for our own benefit. And that's a terrible environment. It just plain simple is a terrible environment. And so just remembering that we're all a human being, we're all having different horrible human being experiences, and having that empathy and patience and grace for each other, that to me is what cohesion is about. So
thank you, Karis.
Yeah.
I think if I could just add to that just a hair, that the importance of like the discussion today is, how do you do that? I mean, it's difficult to build that cohesion sometimes when things are what we used to know as normal, right? And now we're in this remote world. So that gives a different layer of challenge to that, because you can't just, swing by somebody's cubicle or, toss a paperclip at their head, in the office, right? So how do you do that in a remote world? So we are going to hear from some guests. I just want to make note that we have a few little changes to this list. So Emily Nascimento will be actually sharing instead of Pam Case. And I'm pretty sure Diane Childs was not able to join us today. So I'll let Leanne go after Catherine, and then I can just, I know what Diane's group did, so I can share a little bit about what they did. So
I think Diane is here and able to share, actually.
She is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No?
No, I thought she's doing a different session, Karis. Trust me on this.
Oh. It's like she's sitting right here. So sorry, I'm going to stop talking.
So, Jessica, do you want to share with us what you and APS have done?
Yes, happy to. Yeah, and actually, Kelly, it builds on what you were saying just a minute ago, that a lot of these connections, we have them and we realize they're important, but then now that we're all virtual, big correction, a lot of us are not virtual, but as a lot of us have moved into this virtual space, connection, it raises importance. You have to actually actively make ways to connect. So for our team, Agency, Performance, and Strategy, I'm going to talk about 3 things. We started our virtual check-ins Monday mornings. They started actually in person. We would just go into a conference room from 9 to 9:30 Monday morning and just say, how is everybody doing and what's coming up this week? And those moved to virtual. And actually, I find them even more valuable when we're virtual because we're not as aware of what's going on in our day-to-day. We talk about, we usually start it with how are we all doing? How was your weekend? Kind of a thing. What's coming up for you this week, any out of office, vacation, huge, events, anything like fall forum coming up, that kind of stuff. And then anything you need help on or clarification. Actually, I find that these meetings, it's a lot of the time, it's when we realize we're all on the same page or we realize we're not on the same page. And we say, oh, I'll follow up with you later. And it's been really, really valuable. On a more fun note, we do a Teams lunch every week, Wednesday from noon to noon 30. Just whoever can join, sometimes we cancel it if we're all busy, but you basically just, log into Zoom and eat your lunch, or sorry, we don't use Zoom anymore, we use Teams, and just eat your lunch and just talk and connect and share what you're talking about or what you're eating, and we just have a lot of fun. I remember we had one talking about weird injuries we've had. We had one we were talking about snakes for some reason, most likely due to Kelly's dog. And we've just had so much fun talking about food. And sometimes it goes into shop talk, but it doesn't have to. We just connect, and I found them to be really fun and just I get to hang out with my friends. So. You also get to know, people on a personal level and get to know more about them. And then it's easier, like Karis was saying, to have that empathy and to know where people are coming from. To be like, oh, Kelly's having a really bad day. She didn't mean to be rude to me, right? That kind of thing. So so it's really great to connect like that. And just the third thing real quick is just we also have a text thread going on. It's our personal phones. So we chose to do that. You can opt in or opt out. And we just keep each other connected on, what we're eating or whatever, or if we're all waiting for OTC to start, what link are you on? I mean, it's just a fun way to stay connected. So those 3 things we really enjoy, and it keeps us connected. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Jessica. Emily, would you like to share what you have been doing in HR?
Yeah, sure. Happy to. So the pivot to the virtual space for us was a little rocking, as I think it was for a lot of people. In the beginning, we actually did daily wellness checks with each other. We had a list of questions where we met every single day. And they were questions like, what concept of the new normal are you letting go of today? Things that were really rooted in our personal well-being and how we were doing it. Really didn't have anything to do with work. But one of the things that we realized was that we didn't really need that anymore after a certain amount of time. So we have learned to become really flexible and responsive to the needs of the group. And over time, we decided that we also do a weekly lunch where it's our team, but we've also started to invite other people from HR that we miss seeing just around the office or people from the agency. And so it's been nice to have them come in and connect with us. Another thing that we do is we do office hours on Thursday. So I kind of laughed, Kelly, when you said something about throwing paper clips at each other, because there were times where I really just missed hearing Andy sigh at her computer desk, or like Patrick would crack a joke and then we'd all laugh. And so we just missed hearing each other while we were still doing our individual work. So we'll pull teams up and we'll do office hours for an hour on Thursdays. And sometimes we'll chat back and forth, but really it's just about hearing and being around each other while we do our work. And another thing that we do is we have a Teams channel for off-topic things and socializing. So we were part of a Teams pilot, but now Teams has kind of gone wide across ODOT. And so we created a channel that was entirely about socializing and off-topic things, not really having to do with work. And so that was how we kind of kept other things threaded throughout our time together, even between those work and lunch sessions and office hours. We're also exploring other options. Like I said, we're being flexible and responsive to what the team needs. So we're exploring like literature analysis groups or various types of learning environments where we can start to weave in people that have joined any of our virtual classes. I have the daily mindfulness meditation group series that's happening that's been really cohesive. So the big thing that we've learned is that it's really about tuning into what we need and being responsive and vocalizing what we need as a group. So, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Catherine, could you share what communications has been doing?
Well, sure. But first, let me say something that I think every manager thinks about their staff. My staff is incredibly unique. They are incredibly talented, and I have never been prouder of them than I have been this year. Early on, Tom Fuller, my boss and the communications manager, realized that we needed to connect with our team in a way that we hadn't before, because we connected in a way that we took for granted. We walked by people, we saw them in the hall, we went to birthday parties, we went to lunch, we could stay after meetings. And not only, when this started, not only were we in the situation everyone was in, but we were busy communicating about the pandemic to the agency. So not only were we in the thick of it, but we were in the thick of it. And so one of the first things that Tom and I did was start to write weekly messages to our staff that we quickly called Motivational Mondays. And I wanted to read you just a snippet of one of the ones that he wrote. And let me set it up by saying Tom had a long career in TV journalism before he joined public affairs. And in this particular Motivational Monday, he talked about a really challenging story he had as a TV reporter, and how when we encounter a challenge, our instincts are to, fight, flight, or freeze. And he talked about how this particular experience gave him a new motto, and that was find. So let me just read something really quick from him. No matter the circumstance or obstacle, I would either find a way to meet my objective or I would make a way. Plan A gave way to Plan B and C and so forth. I've also used this concept many times since in my work for state government. Right now, we are faced with one of the biggest obstacles we've ever seen: a disease with no cure, an economy in shambles, and a future for our agency that is anything but bright and rosy given our funding situation. What are we going to do? Get angry? Should we run and hide? Should we give up and cower in our home cubicles? How about we get creative? One of the things that I found interesting as we went along with this exercise is our goal was really to help staff, but they ended up helping us. We had a number of employees volunteer to write Motivational Mondays themselves. And I will admit, in the past, I hated reply all. People overuse the reply all button all the time. And I've really grown to love it this year because it's really connected our staff. We get so much feedback on these messages that we send out to everyone. And it's just a way that they've been able to bond. And we've learned so much about each other that we wouldn't have known in another circumstance. And we've often used these messages to get information from our staff and to just have a fun diversion. One of the things that I asked one time, I frankly didn't have the energy or the inspiration to write a Motivational Monday. I didn't feel very motivated. So I wrote, like, here's 10 things that I'm doing in this pandemic that I didn't do before, like cut my own hair, which you can probably tell, cut my husband's hair, which you can definitely tell. And I wanted to just read a few of the staff responses, and certainly cut me off if I'm taking too much time, but mine was, I stopped wearing a watch because time is a construct invented by people who don't telecommute. Another person said they now do weekly drop-ins with their grandparents. No one changes out of pajamas, apparently. I've baked a cake during my morning break. I can go 122 days plus without polish on my toenails and fingernails and survive. I'm not happy about it, but I am surviving. I'm spending a lot more quality time with my dog. Not sure she appreciates it. And then my favorite one it is this. Here are some things that matter even more to me these days. Laughter, my sons, reading, Humphrey Bogart, my bad guitar playing, work, newspapers, family, good writing, the Beatles, the new Bob Dylan album, hope and optimism, laughter. That was from one of the public information officers. We also did a lot of contests, but I think what was so unique is we are on a very creative team. We have a bunch of writers, and this gave them not only a way to get to know each other and stay connected, but be creative. And I think that's so therapeutic. I wanted to mention that I've attended Emily's mindfulness courses. I thought they were awesome. And I think it was Emily who said something about, the paperclip throwing. I saw an article in Slate the other day that said the pandemic has turned the office into a premature time capsule. Shows like that are popular because for all of our lives, offices have been a crucial part of our lives. And when you take that away, it really changes not just your day, but your whole dynamic with your coworkers. And so you have to find a way to continue to be connected. And interestingly enough, one of the questions on one of the exercises that we do was name a favorite work-related show or movie that was not The Office. So I think I'll leave it there because I've taken up a lot of time, and I'm happy to answer questions later.
Catherine, that's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing all that. That's great. And I do think creativity is a huge component to this. You'll see a little bit later that there's been a lot of creativity. So we're just sharing a few of the highlights, but we've got a whole list of great ideas for you. So let's go to Leanne Ferguson from Public Transportation. Would you like to share with us what you guys have done?
Sure. So we kind of had a unique situation I was in the active transportation group, and then the reorg happened, and then the pandemic happened, and then we have a new team. And so there's a little bit of it's been a long process of like how to stay connected with that sort of subject matter group of the active transportation subject matter group, and then getting involved in sort of our new teams in a new division that's coming out of this. So there are a lot of different layers, I think, but I'll speak to a couple of the things that we've done to stay connected. So the first thing we did was do kind of morning coffee check-ins twice a week in the morning at 8 a.m. We all just got online together, so drank our coffee and did kind of the highlights of the day or the headlines, like if you were a headline writer and what was your top headline of that day. And it could be like, my entire world is crumbling, but it could also be like, I'm working towards this big accomplishment. And just as a way to share some of those things, and also ask for support whenever we needed it, to say, can someone help me out with this, or is there a way to collaborate on this? I'm having a really hard time here. Can you help me with X, Y, and Z? So we had a twice a morning, Tuesday, Thursday, 8 a.m. coffee time with our headlines of the day, and really to collaborate on big challenges that we weren't quite sure how to tackle. How that's morphed is that now one of those morning check-ins is with our new groups in the public transportation division, and one of those mornings is still with our sort of active transportation subject matter team that we're more used to working with and had stayed connected with. And so we're balancing creating a new team as well as keeping in contact with our old teams all at the same time. Another thing that we've implemented is like an afternoon, we call it a water cooler time. Like once a week at 4 o'clock, our active transportation team kind of gets together and does a water cooler time, and we can invite another like team or just people we used to run into all the time, like wandering between the cubicles, to that water cooler time and just do a little catch up, just to try to keep some of those interactions happening that we kind of miss. We've implemented water cooler time. We've made a pretty big point to celebrate when big things wrap up. I feel like we're always working on something, and it might be 2 years you're working on something, and then it finally wraps up, and kind of invite the team and have a celebratory time of this thing has wrapped up. Let's sit in this moment for a minute, because tomorrow will bring something completely new. So really setting aside the time to celebrate together whenever big accomplishments are happened, whether it was a team effort or if we all just sort of emotionally supported one person through a process, is like taking the time to celebrate whenever things wrap up and get accomplished. The sort of the final thing I wanted to mention, and this is just because I think the last 6 months has been really hard for everybody. There have been a couple of moments in time when the world felt really heavy. And during our whatever meetings we were having that day or whatever check-ins we were having that day, if someone was feeling really, really heavy, it was sort of like you could take a moment at the beginning of the meeting and say, like, my brain is over here right now. Like we're working in this, we're still working, but we're at home too. So it's like, I might actually like get a sad text from my mother and burst into tears and then pull it all together for a 5 minute, in 5 minutes for my 9 o'clock meeting. It's just like, it's all very, way more fluid than it ever was before. And so it feels like there needs to be a space, or sometimes there needs to be a space to say like, hey, I'm really sad right now. And if I'm not responding to you in the way that I usually do, it's like I've got a weight on me right now, and this is what it is. And I want to give other folks a space to say, like, if they've got anything going on that's really affecting their work right now, and do a really quick check-in, and just do a quick check-in around the circle and give people the opportunity to pass, because you don't want to make somebody participate if they don't want to, but just like opportunity to share one sentence, pass if you'd like to, and just sort of see where everybody's at, because it's just across the board. And I think what Karis was saying earlier about how when someone's reacting to you in a way that you don't quite understand, it's generally not about you. Usually there's something going on with them. And it's actually kind of helpful to know what that is, so that we can empathize with each other if they want to talk about it. And it doesn't have to be the whole meeting. Like, it can actually be a pretty quick check-in of like, I'm just really sad and it's affecting everything. So I'm unable to hear new ideas right now. I'm really closed off to new ideas. Because my defenses are up. Just like, there's ways to be able to be emotional beings and get a lot of work done at the same time. And I feel like that home life combo is very different now than it used to be, because all those things kind of happen in the same space. Those are the ideas that we've sort of come up with, and they've really helped us get kind of closer together as a team during this time in a really interesting way, and still allow us to be really productive and get a lot of really good work done.
Awesome, Leanne. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry, Kelly, did you want to say something?
No, I was just going to say the same thing. Yeah, thank you. That's really awesome. I think that, I think, this pandemic has been rough, right? I mean, that's just the understatement of the year, right? But it's also, to me, brought some good things. And honestly, I think that we're all a lot more conscious and deliberate about connection. And not just with our coworkers, but with our families, with our friends, all of those, even our pets, so if there's anything good that's come out of this, I think, to me, that's one of them, is that this need for connection has been really spotlighted. And, people are being way more deliberate about and intentional around making those connections and building that cohesion. Honestly, I feel like with my team, and two of my teammates are right here. So actually 3, because Susie's there somewhere too, right? I feel like without the pandemic, I don't know that we would be as tight and cohesive and connected together as we are today. you know, I don't know. Maybe we would be, because Karis has forced us to be very cohesive in many ways, do activities. But I wonder that, you know, I feel a connection that I don't know. It's just hard to describe. It's deeper and different than I think it would have been. So, thanks, pandemic. Uh, the other thing with what Diane was going to share, and it's actually in our handout. So they just played a lot of games, you know, fun kinds of things like icebreaker type things. So one of the things they did was, the example she gave me was they did 2 truths and a lie, where it's a pretty common in the facilitator world, kind of an icebreaker game that you can do with teams and groups of any kind, really, where everybody just basically comes up with 2 truths and a lie about themselves and shares, and everybody has to guess which one is the lie. So it's just a fun, you know, fun way to just get to know each other a little bit better and laugh, because laughter is just huge. Okay, Karis, I'm going to turn back over to you.
Thank you, guest speakers and presenters. That was awesome. Leanne, I think we have your name spelled wrong. I'm very sorry about that.
No problem. It happens all the time.
Okay, well, I actually can feel that. Mine gets misspelled all the time too, so. Susie, could you go to the next slide for me, please? Okay, so we are interested to hear what you guys have done to maintain connection and cohesion with your groups. And I have to give some massive props to Susie and Andrea, because I totally threw a curveball at them like during the middle of this and asked them if we could get polling set up for you guys, and they just did it. So also, we have 15 minutes left for this session. Okay, I've been warned. So I want to give you guys a couple minutes. If you can go to your Slido, either on your phone or on computer, and just start answering. You know, it's a polling, so you can just type in your answers. But what have you guys done to maintain connection and cohesion with your teams in the last few months? And so we're just going to kind of read some of these. So periodic calls and social distancing meals. Yep, our team has done a couple of those too, where we've had some outdoor picnics where I think it was Kelly actually, and she spread the chairs. She actually measured so that they were all 6 feet apart. That was pretty fun. Socially distanced bike ride. That's such a good idea. I would never have thought of that. That's super cool. Daily huddles, in person or virtual, turning on the video to portion of Teams chats, virtual huddle every morning, coming back to the office. Okay, so 2 disconnected at home. Monthly trivia break. Oh my gosh, that is awesome. These are coming in really fast. I don't know where I am anymore. Book clubs. Ask the team some of their favorite bands and musicians. Yes, our team did that too, unless that was someone on my team who put that in there. But but we did that too. Periodic calls, team lunches, built an MS Teams pinned group to pop in on each other as we want. I probably read that totally wrong. Email Teams calls, another email, book club, water the bamboo. Cool. Meeting in a park for team building. That's awesome. Pet moments. Yes. Whether people like it or not, they always get pet moments with me. Outdoor breakfast on a weekend. Oh my God, this is awesome. Keep it coming. Okay, fundraising or supporting for someone impacted. That is really awesome. I know I keep using that word, but these are all amazing. I love that you guys are finding ways to like be cohesive and help other people. You guys are beautiful humans. Seriously, I like have goosebumps right now. Talk about one positive thing at every meeting. Oh, I like that too. Met at a protest with my manager. Awesome. So getting out there and social distancing, doing things that are important to you, doing things that are important for others, hike or after work social happy hour, apple picking. Oh my God, you guys are so cute. You went apple picking. That's amazing. Contest for the best background. Okay, are we writing this down? Because like this is happening.
Actually,
our team is totally doing some of these.
Yes.
I was actually thinking that on the 31st, if Halloween is during the week, y'all could have like a Halloween costume contest.
You know, somebody had mentioned too recently that they do a different theme. So each meeting they do a team's background theme for the week or whatever. Yeah.
Okay, I'll just read a couple more. I know we got to move on. Guess the background. That's awesome. Using fun photos as the background or vacation photos. That's really cool. Your parents' house burned down. You collected donations. That's awesome. Trunk or treat for Halloween, dressing up at your team meetings. Okay, I have to stop because we have to move on. But that is amazing. You guys, look at all these things you're already doing. You don't even need me to tell you what to do because you're already doing it. That's awesome. Okay, we'll move on to the next slide. So I just wanted to give you some more ideas about some cohesion activities some of these came from people across the agency. Some of them I Googled, I've never actually done. A lot of these I've made lots of people do these before against their will, but then they always end up loving it. So allowing the first 10 minutes of staff meetings to be focused on cohesion and connection. So when I was leading some teams for Workday and stuff, it was mandatory, like legit mandatory. And when people would try not to come, then I would have the boring work stuff first. And then when they would show up, then we would go back to cohesion. Like that's how important it was to me. There was no getting out of it. So 2 truths and a lie, we talked about that one, doing icebreaker questions or a targeted question. I don't know if you've ever heard of Picha Kucha or personal passion presentations. You can Google both of those, but Picha Kucha is where you have about 10 seconds per slide, and you usually have between 10 and 20 slides. So it's basically like a 2-minute-ish presentation, and you write, or you have, it's like a PowerPoint, and you put pictures of things that are really important to you. So maybe, or things that you want to showcase about yourself. So maybe it's like childhood memories or your favorite vacation spot or your super fun hobby or your pet or your kids or whatever. And so you go through and you share that with your teams, and that's super fun. Virtual happy hours, not paid work time. I think I have to say that. One-on-one impromptu video chats. So that's another cohesion activity. We have more on the next slide. Susie. Group or one-on-one texting. Jessica mentioned that our group has a text thread, and we text each other all the time about random things. It's awesome. Virtual celebrations or book club or podcast club. A bunch of you mentioned that on our chat. House tours. So I can't remember if I did this or who I did this with, but I just moved into a new house over the summer, and so I picked up my laptop and walked everyone around, gave them the 10-second tour of my 700 square foot house. So that's a fun thing to do if you want to give a house tour. A virtual talent show, like if someone plays the guitar or can sing, or I don't even know, whatever your talent is. A themed costume contest, the games that Kelly mentioned. So you can do like online bingo or scavenger hunts, like from around your house, and the first one to come back with everything wins, or online card games. I Googled that. I've never actually done any of these, but so those are some options. Next slide for me, please. Okay, so we have, oh my gosh, that's really sad. We have 7 minutes left. I'm so sad. So I'm going to very quickly show you the remote work page because I don't know if any questions have come in, and I want to make sure that we have some time for questions. So we've been working with people from all over the agency with HR, learning and development, places I'm not remembering, IS for sure, but we have this remote work page now set up, and it has like everything that you could want. So we talk about the technology side, we have like the working from home side, we have the healthy, like maintaining your health, like whether that's mental or physical. We have a bunch of the policy and process and guidance stuff up there. We have a massive list of FAQs, like massive, and we're updating them periodically as we go and as we get more information. And then the other thing that we're going to be adding to this page, Susie's going to pull that up, and we're going to add some of those things that you guys listed on our polling. But some of the maintaining connection and cohesion. So some of the activities, right? How to use your camera. the weekly office hours, the text threads, the Motivational Mondays that were mentioned. So this is everything that we kind of talked about already during the session, and then we're going to add everything else that you guys mentioned. And if if we ran out of time for you to share your idea and you want to get it on here, just email me or Susie or Kelly, and we would love to add it to this list, because I think cohesion is super important and everyone should be doing it. And so we want to get as many options out there as possible for you, because some of these activities are totally going to be up your alley and some of them may not be. So that's why we want to give you as many possibilities as we can. Okay, I'm going to stop talking. I think that was our last slide. Is there questions? Did questions come in? Okay, so now we're going to go to questions from Slido. Am I reading these? Should I just read these out loud? I didn't know if Andrea was going to, but I guess I will. Okay, so I feel like there's also an equity aspect to having the ability to connect in a remote world. How do you support technology challenged colleagues? Kelly's going to answer this.
I think this is a really good point. I honestly don't know what the correct answer to this would be at this point. I think that that's something that I do know there are many folks looking at these different aspects. There's from, the point of internet connection, the technology that we have available. I can tell you that I'm challenged, and everybody who is in meetings with me where I'm in charge of the technology will tell you that I'm challenged with it. So I think, trying to provide additional training, support, coaching, tap into people that are using it successfully and have them help you, because I think that's the thing, is we all have to help each other through this. Anyway, I don't know what else to say about that one.
I thought that was a good answer. So any advice on creating spaces for connection when managers don't support it? Oh man, let me know who they are and I'll go talk to them. No, I'm just kidding. I'll win them over.
That's a tough one. And it's hard to know what context that's in, but I think, if you have a roundtable part of your agenda, to just take advantage and lead by example.
I miss the productive water cooler moments that happen with people outside of my crew. How can we best recreate those moments while working from home? So I think a lot of the things that were mentioned today are good ways to kind of recreate that, those moments. The one that strikes me the most kind of similar is the one that Emily Nascimento talked about with the office hours and just kind of having your Teams chat open, so that you can kind of drop in and out and hear people sigh and shake their computer when it's not working. And but also, I think something that is very important about this is that the intention, you have to be intentional about this, right? It was really easy to pass someone on your way to the bathroom, and it takes effort now to sit down and dedicate time to spend with coworkers just having interpersonal interactions. That takes intentionality. So setting aside that time on purpose, getting your team to commit to it, and maybe once a week is too much. Maybe every other week is more doable depending on your workload. But I do think that there is a massive amount of intentionality that has to go behind this. And it's not just going to happen organically. Do you have anything to add to that, Kelly?
No, I think you did that. Yeah, you did that well.
Any reason there are no men on this panel?
None of them volunteered.
Oh, I'm subbing for Tom Fuller.
Oh, so there was a man on this
invited first, yeah, and he's on vacation.
Okay.
That's right. Thank you.
We have a couple more minutes. So how do you deal with staff or team members that just won't participate, even when it's a pretty basic request like a webcam? So to me, really, this is resistance, right? And my whole life is about resistance management. So everyone who's ever taken a training from me knows exactly what I'm about to say. Go ahead, say it with me in your head. Empathic listening, okay? So there's probably a reason that they're being resistant, and they probably feel very justified in that reason. And it's our job as people who care about our coworkers coworkers to try to figure out why they might be resistant. So I guess my first thought would be to ask them why they don't want to participate or why they don't want to be seen on camera. There are days where I'm totally fine to be on camera, and there are days where it's just not happening. It's just not. Like if I, maybe I feel really tired, or I cried my eyes out that morning and I'm all puffy, or I just really want to eat my Cheez-Its in peace and I don't want people to look at me eating my Cheez-Its on camera. Like there are tons of reasons, right? So having the ability to show some grace and empathy, like not take it personal, try to understand where they're coming from. That would be my go-to. Kelly, anything to add there?
No, I think that's excellent.
Okay.
I was looking ahead to the next two. Oh, never mind.
Oh, sadness. Well, what was the question?
Well, one was about, we still have another minute, 2 minutes, right? Can I answer those really quick? I can't see Susie. The one about for large crews, somebody asking for suggestions there. One idea to think about there would be to potentially have people buddy up with each other, and maybe rotate those. So rather than, one person having to connect with each of those people individually, maybe you have them buddy up and kind of have a check-in buddy for the week or something like that. That's just off the top of my head. And then, also, obviously you can't, it would take your entire time, which kind of got to another question that was there about should we really be taking hours out of our day for this semi-work touching base? I don't think anybody's suggesting hours. I think it's a matter of thinking of, what's the deliberate strategy for your team for that week and what's going to work best. But I don't think anybody's suggesting hours every day. It's just you have to figure out what's going to be the most effective and work the best for your group at that moment in time. And like to Emily's point, that has to evolve, as the team grows and develops and bonds and all of those things, that will need to shift and evolve, and you may not need as much connection as you might have at the beginning.
Okay, I guess that is the end of our presentation. So we're going to post the slides, like I said, so you can get the references. We're going to have answers to the questions. I think we're going to post those to the Fall Forum site later, probably next week. If you have any other ideas or anything that you want to add to that list that we pulled up, please share those with us. I would love to hear them. Your ideas were awesome, like so awesome. And I think that is it. So thank you guys so much for coming. I had a great time.
Yes, thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.